Changing your WordPress theme. This is probably one of the things that, typically freaks out a lot of people, or they're totally unaware of what's going to happen if they try to change your theme or change your theme. I'm sure somewhere along the line you may decide, I want a new look for my site, and you're going to start looking at new themes and stuff, and right away you think, what's going to happen? You're looking at the demo, you're looking at your site, and a lot of things are going through your head. So what I want to do in this video is I'm going to actually talk a little bit first about what you might lose when you change your theme, what you will lose, and what you won't lose, because I think those are the biggest things. And then what I'm going to do, this is a longer video, so kind of be prepared. I'm going to actually go into 3 of our own sites that are, all set up, and I'm going to show you what happens when we change the themes on those. And for each one of those, I'll give you, 1 to 3 examples. So again, you're going to see actually live what happens. I've gone through some of this myself, but there may be things we don't know that will happen, and these aren't my actual sites, so don't worry, I'm not destroying them. So first of all, we have I just have a demo up here. I have a real basic setup of a site I've done with one of the WordPress default themes. When we go inside to our themes, we have the option, to look at what we have installed and decide, which of these themes do I want to use. Now, if I go down here, for example, and I say, I like this one. It's pretty basic here. I may note that I will be using I'll be using exclusively Genesis child themes and Woo themes, since that's what my videos cover mostly. And this doesn't necessarily mean that you're using those themes, but it will give you an idea, because really this pertains to all themes. So you're just going to kind of have to decide, the theme you're using, what you're moving to, and kind of from this video figure out what's going to happen. If we can always do a live preview, which is good, because if we go, as you saw the site before, if I go to a live preview of this theme, of course it looks a lot different now. I've lost my header, this obviously looks different up here. Everything looks different. So I know, okay, at least this is what is going to happen. I can go through here and change some of the colors just to kind of preview it at this point, but still, what's going to happen when I actually make the change. Now, what you need to remember is when you change a theme, there are going to be a few things that aren't going to happen. One of those is any pages or posts you've created as a standard post or page do not go away. They will stay there. Now, the question is how you were using your theme to pull in that content. Your basic pages and posts will still exist, but not always will they be in particular places that you thought they would be that were with your current theme, especially if you have a theme that's pulling in different content on the homepage. So first of all, realize that, you're not going to lose that content. It's going to still be back there somewhere. You just may need to go and, again, assign it somewhere in particular. Your menus, obviously can flip around, switch around, whatever, depending on, your current theme and the theme you move. So again, you won't lose your menus that you've set up. They will still be back there, your actual menus here, but you may need to reassign them to different parts in your new theme. So you're not going to lose the setup of your menus, and you're not going to lose your pages and posts. Now, as far as plugins and widgets, this is where it will depend. If you have if you have like a regular plugin you've installed, maybe it's a SEO plugin or something like that, it's going to stay back there. The settings are going to still be there. And likely the information is still going to sit, where you put it in before. But if that theme or that plugin or widget is specific for that theme, for example, with StudioPress, you get, 2 or 3 default widgets with it. You get featured post, featured page, and user profile. With Genesis, you also may install plugins that are specific for Genesis, like the responsive slider plugin, all those things. Once you've changed to a non-Genesis theme, that stuff is not going to work anymore. It's gone. So those widgets you've set up that are specific to that theme will basically not work. They'll still be, you'll see them, any plugins you'll still see installed, but they won't work. The widgets will just disappear. Same with Woo Themes. Woo Themes has a lot of widgets that are specific to Woo Themes. So if you go from Woo Themes to another theme, those are all going to disappear. So you're going to have to be aware that content is going to need to be recreated in some other way. Now, the other thing that happens is custom post types, and I'm not going to get into that a lot. I have another video on that. But a lot of these themes use custom post types. Some plugins use them, and especially if you've had a theme customized for you. Now, if we're not talking an out-of-box theme like Woo or Genesis, if you've had a theme customized by a developer, before you change themes, go back to that developer if you're not using them and say, what's going to happen here if I change this theme? Because they may have set up specific things that work with that theme. Once you change it, that's gone. Where that content goes may be stored somewhere in your database, but you won't see it anymore. So you need to be careful there. Now, on out-of-the-box themes, there'll be plugins and stuff that you will actually, again, install and say, okay, this is the format and all this, this is how it's going to work. Let's go to, I'm just going to give you an example here, and this is kind of an extreme example, but if we go to AgentPress, which is a real estate theme, and we go to property types, and we click on a listing. These listings are created using a plugin. They look like a regular post, except they have all this different information in here. Again, if you said, well, I'm using AgentPress theme from StudioPress, I'm going to change to another theme, maybe a real estate theme at Woo Themes. Likely, a lot of this information that you've stored in these specific plugins and post types will be gone, and you'll lose that formatting, and you'll lose that content. So be real careful. So stepping back, just remember that your basic information, stays there. Your posts, pages, your menus will still be there somewhere, but all that other content that was maybe specific to your theme may just go poof. So the best way to demonstrate this is to actually show you when we change a theme, what happens. Now, if we go back here, remember when I showed you this pros theme and I said, okay, let's look at the live preview. Now, the live preview, again, depending on the theme, doesn't always necessarily look exactly like it, because an example of this is, okay, I can see here, but what happened to my widgets there? In the live preview, I'm not seeing them. If I save and activate, and now I go to the site, there's my widgets. They're still over there. What happened? This is, I wish there was a rule of thumb for this, but not necessarily, because it can really depend on what theme you're going to, from what theme to what theme. If we go on and look at our widgets right now, our widgets were probably in one area and somehow they replicated themselves in the primary sidebar when we made the change. That doesn't always happen. What you're going to find sometimes is that every theme has different widget areas. And not necessarily, typically when you change a theme, if you're lucky, most of the time, they may stay in the primary sidebar and move into the primary sidebar of the new theme. But other times I've seen them actually start popping around in other places. So if you're, when you change your theme and, you click the activate and everything goes really wonky, sometimes maybe a couple of them might pop up into the header right or stuff like that. So if you see really bizarre things happening, go into your widget area and look here and go through all the different new widget areas and see if some have kind of decided to find a new home somewhere else. And again, I've seen that happen a lot. It doesn't always happen. And if it disappears, likely you can go down here and look at, it may have moved an inactive sidebar. So a sidebar you may have created using a plugin or a widget or something else may have popped down here as well. So there's a chance that those widgets are still set up down there, but you'll have to go down here and look. Again, you just never know what's going to happen. But remember that if the widget is not specific to the theme, likely it will pop up somewhere. It'll, pop up in another widget area, or it may go down here. But if it is specific to the theme, it's just going to disappear. Now let's get into actually changing or seeing what 3 sites that are live, what they will look like if we change a theme. And I'm on my wife's site here. And she is set up using the Pros theme from StudioPress. And you can see that we've done quite a bit here as far as headers and everything. And sidebar, and she's got it looking just right. Now, if we were to go into her site here, into the themes, and maybe she wanted to change to a more standard blog, another kind of blogging centric theme, like this. Let's just go to this one here, this beautiful theme. And this is also by StudioPress. So now she knows that when she makes this change, that at least her widgets will all stay. And even the widgets and plugins that have to do with StudioPress will be there somewhere. It's not going to disappear because she's going from one StudioPress child theme to another. If we actually go here and do a live preview, if she changes to the beautiful theme, this is kind of what her site will look like. And you'll see that now she has lost her custom header. So you're going to have the work of putting your custom header into this new site. And the sidebars. Now, again, does this mean this is what's going to happen? Is this how it's going to look, or are the sidebars going to reappear? Again, this preview isn't always the perfect thing. Let me just cancel this. So now you see the difference. This is what her new site will look like. Now, if we went in and she said, okay, I'm going to go for a more robust theme. I want to still keep Genesis, and I want to keep StudioPress and all that stuff, but I'm no longer just blogging. I need a theme that tells me about my business and tells me about all the great things I'm doing. And I'm looking at this Executive Pro because I want a slider now. And I want all this other great stuff down here, and this call to action banner, and this is what the demo looks like, and I'm pretty excited about it. But if I go back to my site here and I say, okay, well, what will this look like? I'm going to go live preview. And, well, it kind of looks like our old site, except worse. It's, again, where did the slider go? What you're going to have to realize is, if you're going from a simple theme to a more complicated layout, you're going to have some work to do, obviously. You're going to have to set up that whole homepage. Now, remember, all your content's still there. All your pages and your posts, they haven't disappeared. Don't worry about that. Even your media. I didn't address that, but all the media that you've uploaded directly to your media file is still there. But if that media is being demonstrated through a plugin specifically to that theme, like a slider, and you change themes and it no longer uses that plugin, well, you've lost that slider. You haven't lost the images. They're still in your media library, but you've lost the actual slider functionality. Now, if we cancel that, we can say, okay, now what if we want to go to a totally different theme? We don't want to use a StudioPress theme anymore. We want to move to a Woo theme. And we like this on topic, and we think, well, it's a pretty basic looking site, and it's kind of cool. I like how the side, this is over here and all this, why don't I go ahead and do this? Because I'm going from a fairly simple kind of layout to another simple layout. So if we go back here and we actually live preview it, well, this looks certainly different, doesn't it? I mean, you've lost a lot of the, I mean, you've not only, like, where did my photos go and stuff. If you look at this, this is probably, these photos are pulled in a specific way through a functionality of that theme, and now it's not doing it. So now all we have is just text, nothing, no graphics. Where did that menu go on the side? What's it doing up here? Again, you can see a lot of work that you're going to have to do. You're going to have to go into all the theme features and reset it up, basically. Now, if we were to go back here, and let's just look at, let me use this theme details, this beautiful pro one again. We're going to look at the live preview. And when we looked at that, again, I said we lost a lot of stuff. So now if we actually save and activate this, let's see how much different this looks active compared to the actual live preview. So we're going to save and activate it. And now let's go look at this site. Well, isn't that interesting? Look at this. See all this weird stuff here? Whoa, what the heck happened here? What the heck happened is that suddenly all these widgets that were in the sidebar are no longer in the sidebar, and that's just what I was telling you. Suddenly this stuff that was in the footer is up there in their header. I mean, how special is that? She had this down in the header really small. It's not nice to steal in her license or blog. Now it's up in the header. Well, that's great. The first thing people see is it's not nice to steal. What's my point here is we've got, again, some real rework to do. This, even though moving from a Genesis child theme to another Genesis child theme, and both of them were pretty basic blog-centric themes, bam, look what happened. If we go into the widget area, see how suddenly this thing that was somehow in initially somewhere else in the sidebar decided to pop up into the header right. Before header, something decided to go up there. So everything kind of, all these little widgets that were basically all in here in the primary sidebar of her site now have decided to venture off to different areas. This one's showing up in this widget area here. So now we're going to have to start dragging and dropping and moving them around. The beauty of this is I could just start moving these all into the primary sidebar again. I could drag them in there, save it. That isn't rocket science. So at least you can go in there and do some of that. But be aware that this could happen. Now let's look at another site here. This is actually my site my old tutorial site. I'm using Woo themes. And again, I have it set up with specific plugins for Woo themes and all that good stuff. And, let's look at what happens if I move it to a Genesis site and I move it to another Woo themes. Now, if we go on the back end, see where this new site is coming, that is actually a Woo feature. And it's a plugin that I installed. If we go into our dashboard here, over here you can see this is my slides. So if I click on slides and edit that one. Now if I had this content that I wanted to keep and I was going to switch from Woo themes, I might consider going and copying this because, as I mentioned, this is specific to this theme and I'm going to lose this content once I change it. Maybe stored back in the database somewhere, but for the casual user, you're not going to want to try to figure all that out. You might want to copy that in. Now, if we go back to the site, that was this area here. Now, let's go into the themes. And let's say we wanted to go to this apply theme. This is another Woo theme, and it kind of, doesn't look exactly the same, but you're thinking, oh, this is very cool, and you like the layout and stuff. What's going to happen when I change this? If I go into here and I do my live preview, you're going to see one thing is suddenly I've got this crazy menu here. So it's pulling some menu I didn't want to show up there, which is an issue. Here's that information that went all the way across. Well, what we know here is, this is what's kind of interesting, is we know that since both these Woo themes uses that slider plugin, that content's still here. It's just kind of in a new area and looks different. So it's probably this area right over here. And then it looks like I've kept my testimonials, which is another widget used by Woo themes, and that's all in there. So I've got that content that's moving from one to the next Woo theme pretty nicely. But as you can see, I've got still got a lot of work to do here. And again, we're looking at the same family of themes, the same kind of plugins they may use, and that's keeping not only those posts and page content, all the stuff in the back end there that you're going to keep no matter what, it's actually keeping some of this format. Now, if we wanted to do this same theme and we wanted to move it to this Genesis third-party theme called Epic, and we scroll down, it looks really cool again. Chances are when you're looking at these two themes, you're looking at your Woo theme here that's got a bunch of different settings on the home page, or formatting I should say, and you're looking at this Epic theme, which really looks a lot different. You can pretty much expect you're going to be doing a redesign. So you're going to have to go in there, and basically all your content's still going to be in the back there, remember that, but you're going to have to do, because this is a totally different look. So if we go to this site, we go into our themes, and we look at what Epic's going to look like as a live preview. Well, that looks quite a bit different, doesn't it? It just looks like it just kind of pulled the blog, some posts here. So, again, we seriously have some work to do here. So that gives you an idea. If we actually, let's save and activate this one just for the heck of it. And now my nice tutorial theme looks like this, which does not look at all like the live preview, because the live preview was pulling in the blog page. Now I suddenly have all sorts of bizarre stuff going on here. So you can see I have some work to do. And this again was going from a Woo theme to a Genesis theme. So, it's like I can't even begin to tell you what happened here. This is so crazy. So again, showing you an example of what happened. Now let's do one more last final theme. Thanks for hanging in there with me. This is my main site. You've probably been there. And I'm going to look at, again, just to kind of give you an idea. This is, probably we're looking at the same kind of stuff happening. If I go in here to my themes and I say, well, Bob's theme needs to be more kind of news style now because for some reason I'm changing. And I like this theme here, this theme by Studio Press. Nice News Pros theme, and see it pulls in all this content, very cool. And we go back to Bob's theme here. And again, the fortunate thing is, if I'm using any of those widgets for formatting, they're going to be kind of formatted still in the widget area because I'm still moving from Genesis to Genesis. My content's going to stay the same, but probably my layout and a lot of other things will change. If I go to live preview of it, again, it gives me more of a just my blog listings and some of that stuff. But the interesting thing is if we went to activate it, which I'll come back and do that in a minute, it's going to change a lot. You'll notice that my little sign up here popped up because that's a plugin. It didn't matter. I didn't turn off that plugin. The plugin's still working. We cancel that. Now, if we wanted to go to a Woo Themes and we say, wow, this is really a cool theme. It's very visually big, kind of like I have right now. But, obviously it's, it functions a lot different. It's not a Genesis theme. It's a Woo theme. So if I go back here and I actually was to preview that, this looks nothing like, no slides found. See, this is giving me errors because that Woo Themes has particular functionality, and it's using probably a plugin, and it's using some different stuff that is not there, doesn't exist. So if we make that change, bam, we are going to have to start from ground zero. If I cancel this and I choose the news theme, I say, okay, live preview. And just for one last glimpse into this, this is what it looks like in the live preview. We can change this and say a static page. That's not how that, we can change some stuff here, like I said, and you can look and see, what will that do? But really, when we save and activate, we will see if now it looks like this theme like this. And we click here, and it doesn't. Not at all. So that is giving you some real-life experience of changing themes. What happens? Again, I just kind of want to recap. Changing from a very simple theme to another very simple blog-centric theme isn't going to perfectly work, but the actual setup will probably be a lot less, going in there and getting things to look right. Changing from a simple theme to a more complex theme, you're basically doing a redesign. So changing a theme totally affects the look of your site, because that's what your theme is, the look of the site. All your content, your posts, your pages, your media is all going to stay back there. As I showed you, even changing the theme, sometimes your widgets will stay there, but they'll move around. They'll find new little homes and new little widget areas, and you're going to have to shift them around and send them back to the new home that they have now. As far as features specific to themes, whether it's a plugin or as I showed you in that Agent Press, that's real estate theme, whatever, there's going to be certain times that there is specific plugins, widgets, or post formats for your theme that are going to change. And they're going to change when you go to a totally different theme, and they're not going to exist anymore. So really think, if you're moving from one totally different theme and you're, some of the plugins are specific to that theme, think about what you're going to lose. Also, if you've had a theme customized, talk to the developer, say what you're planning on doing, or talk to somebody that can go in there and really look at it and say, what happens? What happens when I change my theme? What do I lose here? What should I be prepared for? So I'm not trying to, freak you out, get you scared, but just plan when you change themes. Plan for how little or how much work it's going to take. So I hope this helped you a little bit more in understanding what happens when you change your theme. And if you're on that journey, best of luck. See you in another video soon.